It's the 5th of December, 1946. In Hamburg, in the British zone of occupied Germany, the Ravensbrück trial begins. The defendants are concentration camp personnel from all divisions of the camp. SS officers, camp doctors, female guards. It is a Nazi camp like no other.
Ravensbrück was a concentration camp, and unlike every other concentration camp, it was a concentration camp for women. It was particularly horrifying for the sensibilities of people in the 1940s as well, where women are meant to be kept out of combat, out of war, and treated with some level of humanity. Ravensbrück was a particular horrific site to end up in.
The Ravensbrück trial is important and it's unique because of the treatment of prisoners within the camp, in particular the medical experiments that had been carried out, forced sterilizations, for example, and the use of women as rabbits, as they were called, having muscles removed, having injuries inflicted on them without giving them any proper treatment. And the way that women were treated towards the end, there were mass gassings, frenzied gassings in the gas chambers.
Vera's role in the trial is to manage the extensive evidence she has brought together, passing it on to the prosecutors. But she must not reveal her role to the international press. The trial features one of the camp's most notorious SS officers, Johann Schwarzhuber. He is about to face one of his accusers.
Barrister, could you please say who this man in front of us is?
Johann Schwarzhuber.
And who is your next witness?
Odette Sansom.
Odette Sansom is a star witness for the prosecution, giving damning testimony about what happened at the camp, at the hands of Schwarzhuber and others. The court hears from Odette and other witnesses about the treatment of female agent Violette Szabo, who is described talking about my baby, her young child left behind in Britain. And how Violette and two other agents, Lillian Rolfe and Denise Bloch, are brought from the punishment block, emaciated, dirty, and weak. They are then taken behind the crematorium building and shot.
The trial would have been difficult for Vera as the witnesses took the stands. Although she'd probably already interviewed some of them previously, she may have compartmentalized it in some way. But having seen and spoken to and befriended the agents that she had sent into the field, the realization of what these women had sacrificed and what the overarching impact on their families were going to be, it must have been harrowing for her.
At the end of the trial, Schwarzhuber is sentenced to death and executed on the 3rd of May, 1947. 5 of the female guards are also executed. Fritz Suren, the commandant, remains a fugitive from justice. But before the closing statements are finished, Vera is already on her way to try and track down the last of her lost women spies, Noor Inayat Khan. Previously, Vera received a letter from a French resistance fighter, Yolande Lagrave, claiming she had contact with Noor in a prison in Pforzheim in the west of Germany. This directly contradicted Vera's evidence from crematorium stoker Franz Berg. He claimed that Noor was killed at the Natzweiler concentration camp in France.
Vera already has an eyewitness testimony from Natzweiler saying that Noor is dead. And now she has another eyewitness testimony saying, no, that is not true, she is here. What eyewitness do you trust? How does Vera make this decision? She needs some sort of corroborating evidence to prove one way or the other.
So what did happen to Noor? Vera needs another witness statement. So she decides to interrogate one particular Gestapo soldier for a second time. Max Wassmer transported SOE agents to Dachau concentration camp in September 1944. Wassmer claims that he transferred 3 women to the camp, even though other witnesses say there was a 4th woman. A woman from Pforzheim prison.
Three. You're sure it was 3? 3 women. Not men, women. Because the other guards say you're wrong.
The receipt said 3 women.
That is not what I asked. Did you take 3 women?
Three, 4. What's the difference?
It's all the difference. So it was 4.
Three from Karlsruhe. And another. From Pforzheim, I think.
Please tell me what they looked like. All of them.
She looked like she may have been Indian.
Wassmer describes the 4th woman, giving a description of a woman who Vera believes is Noor Inayat Khan. Wassmer reveals that Noor is taken outside the camp with the other women and made to kneel in front of a mound of earth. There, one after another, the women are shot through the back of the neck.
liberty.
The only word Noor says before she is shot is the French word for freedom, liberté.
Thank you, Herr Vasmer. We're done.
Vera can now put to rest her quest to find out Noor's story and her final resting place, the concentration camp at Dachau. But now, Vera must ask the hardest question of all. Who betrayed her women agents? Who is the person that betrayed Noor, Violette Szabo, and all of Vera's other women spies, so they ended up in the hands of the Nazis? Could it have been Henri Dericourt? There were allegations, but Vera still doesn't know for sure. The man who would know is Hans Kiefer, the man in charge of Nazi intelligence in Paris. To find him, Vera needs the SAS. SAS intelligence officer Major Bill Barkworth and his men stake out a small town in southern Germany. They've received a tip-off from Vera that Hans Kiefer has been spotted here. It is Kiefer's hometown. They're looking for the caretaker of a local hotel, who signed the town hall register as Hans Kiefer. The name is suspiciously similar, with only one F removed.
Hans Joseph Kiefer, Senior Counterintelligence Officer, 84 Avenue Foch, Paris.
Yeah.
Get him out of here.
Barkworth and Vera have their man. Now, it is their chance to find out who betrayed all of Vera's women agents. It is January 1947. Vera is face to face with her secret enemy, Hans Kiefer.
Hans Kiefer is a lifelong Nazi, so he joined the Nazi Party in the early 1920s, so very, very early on. And he rises to become, during the war, the head of the Gestapo and SS operation runner in Paris. So this was an operation specifically aimed at hunting down mostly special operations executive agents in the field, so agents of the SOE in France. But the thing about Hans Kiefer is he's a fascinating individual because he's not like you would imagine your archetypal SS bruiser. He's a subtle, wily, clever fox.
Vera has waited almost 2 years for this moment. The chance to interrogate the man who could answer all her questions. The man who holds the key to her lost women spies. And what really happened to Noor, codename Madeleine.
Berlin considered the French section of SOE particularly dangerous. Both the Führer and Himmler had shown a personal interest. I remember Madeleine. Refused to cooperate. Unlike the others. She tried to escape with a group of male agents. It would have ruined us if she made it back to SOE. Ruined me. So I sent her away. She ended up in Pforzheim, I think. She was a brave one.
Her name was Noor Inayat Khan. She is most likely dead. Shot through the head at Dachau. Kiefer, if one of us is going to cry, it is going to be me. You will please stop this comedy. Who betrayed them, Kiefer? Who betrayed Noor?
You're asking me if there was a traitor in your ranks. Why are you asking me? You know yourself there was one. You were called into London. Gilbert?
And who is Gilbert?
Well, I think you know. Of course you know. Henri Delrico.
Did you pay him?
Yes. Everyone has their price, don't they?
Here, at last, is Vera's definitive proof that Henri Dericourt is the double agent.
Don't worry, Dericourt. We'll clear this whole sorry business up.
Thanks.
Despite Buckmaster and Boddington's investigation clearing him.
There is no doubt in Vera's mind that with all the resistance evidence coming in, all of the information that Kiefer knows about Dericourt, obviously now, for Vera, she knows Dericourt is the mole. He is a double agent. He's the reason that all of her agents, or a lot of them, ended up in concentration camps. He's the reason that they were murdered. And the anger that must have pulsed through her at that point. This isn't a sinking feeling anymore. This is something that she needs justice for.
Now, Vera has a star witness who can testify against and hopefully convict Henri Dericourt. June 1948. Henri Dericourt is brought to trial in Paris. Here is Vera's chance for justice.
Vera had spent the last few years building up her case against Henri Dericourt. I mean, she had everything. Now she was a civilian, obviously. She wasn't leading the prosecution, so she couldn't determine what evidence they were going to use in court against him, but she had so much. She had like affidavits from actual Nazi war criminals who named him. She had all of the evidence that she'd gathered from her own agents. She had all the evidence from the French resistance. Henri Dericourt was at the centre of this web of lies, and she could prove it. It was all right there. She must have felt so confident when they entered the courtroom.
But it is soon clear it may not be as easy as Vera hopes. It's now been over a year since Vera interrogated Hans Kiefer. She is told that in June 1947, Kiefer was convicted of the murder of 5 SAS men and executed. Before he can give evidence at the Dericourt trial.
Hans Kiefer would have known more than anybody else about every single agent who was arrested when and how, and the radio game, and also what informers he was using. So one might think that his evidence would have been, or a statement at least, would have been crucial to the eventual trial of Henri Dericourt as a traitor. I mean, there's a potential conspiracy theory around the fact that he was deliberately executed so that he couldn't reveal the full extent of the SOE failings and disastrous infiltrations.
Next, Vera discovers the statement which she extracted from Kiefer is not going to be put before the court. Finally, no former SOE officers will appear in court to give evidence. But on the final day, one former officer does make the trip to Paris. None other than Nicholas Boddington. Could Boddington be the man to help get Dericourt convicted? Boddington gives evidence. But instead of giving evidence against Dericourt, Boddington testifies that Dericourt's contact with the Nazis was fully authorized for counter-espionage purposes. Henri Dericourt is found not to be a traitor. Instead, partially thanks to Boddington's testimony, he is acquitted. Dericourt is a free man. Vera has to face the possibility that her women agents were compromised so that Dericourt could supply intelligence to London about the Nazis.
Put yourself in Vera's boots. She's been trying to prosecute Henri Dericourt for years, and here it's almost like a farcical trial. And not only does the prosecution not really try and pin him down and brings virtually no witnesses, but the defence, they bring Boddington. Like, this is a man that Vera's worked with, and he knows what she's been doing. He knows that she's desperately been trying to bring justice to all the women who, some of them were tortured to death. And she feels responsible for that because she's the person who sent them out there.
How could you, Nick?
Vera.
How could you support that traitor? Testify for him after everything he did to my agents, our agent.
Vera.
You're a liar.
Everything I said was true.
You liar.
Vera, Dericourt's contact with the SD was authorized.
I sent my girls to war with no protection under the Geneva Convention. If they were made as spies, they faced certain death. You sent them to their deaths.
You sent a widow with a young daughter to France. That child is now an orphan. You pulled Noor out of training early because you needed a wireless operator. You volunteered for this job, begged Buckmaster to play with the big boys. Don't forget that.
I don't know you, Nick.
You never did.
It appears that the men at the top of the British establishment want the true story of the women spies to be lost permanently. But others are now interested in what happened to Vera's spies. In the early 1950s, writer Jean Overton Fuller begins researching a series of books about the SOE. Jean wants to find out what happened to her friend Noor Inayat Khan, who disappeared during the war after telling Jean she was going away. Despite being warned off by establishment figures, Fuller interviews former members of the SOE, and one man in particular. Code name Gilbert. Henri Dericourt. Her work results in 3 books about the SOE, with the last called Double Webs, published in 1958. The book makes the controversial claim that Noor and other agents are sent by the SOE into the hands of Henri Dericourt, with the full knowledge that Dericourt is a double agent, working with the Nazis. The book makes headlines.
Delivery for Mrs. Ward!
Several MPs receive letters from the families of lost women's spies, wanting to know the whole truth about their daughters. One MP is Conservative member for Tyneside, Irene Ward. Irene, through the Home Office, requests an interview with someone who knows what happened. The Home Office sends Vera.
Overton Fuller writes, and I quote,
I have read the book, Mrs. Ward. It's a shame, really, that accuracy appears to be secondary concern. I find these things of such importance.
You're disputing that Henri Dericourt was a double agent.
Perhaps you could ask him yourself. I'm sure Miss Overton Fuller could direct you to him.
Miss Atkins, what concerns me is that the SOE, that your superiors, that you, were sending women to fight in the full knowledge they had no chance to survive.
Mrs. Ward, what did you do during the war?
I served my constituents. Atkins. Your mother's name, I believe. Your father's name, Rose. Rosenberg, if I'm not mistaken. And you're from Romania, originally. How did a young Romanian girl like yourself
I'm so sorry, Mrs. Ward, but I have another meeting.
Good day, Miss Atkins. See yourself out, please.
After the meeting, Irene Ward digs into Vera's personal history, who she is, where she comes from, and what she really did at SOE. Irene Ward's digging threatens to reveal the story of the lost women's spies. The security establishment goes into damage control. An academic called M.R.D. Foote at the University of Oxford is engaged to produce an official history of the SOE.
M.R.D. Foote is ex-SAS. He also was captured in the war and he was put in a prisoner of war camp in France. So he has all of this direct experience within the war, but he's also a historian. So he's got that authority as well. He understands how to write about history and he understands that there are still some secrets that must stay secret.
His exhaustive work concludes that
to the question of why people with so little training were sent to do such important work, the only reply is the work had to be done, and there was nobody else to send.
Professor Foote?
before the book is published, Vera speaks to Foote and persuades him to omit her Romanian background from his history of SOE.
Discretion in some of these.
So why does Vera hide who she really is? Because Vera is forced to cover up not just her public story and the lost women spies, but also the private story of her family's life.
Miss Atkins, I would like 3 copies of this, please. One for the war.
It was a closely guarded secret at SOE that Vera was born in Romania rather than the UK. But that wasn't Vera's only secret. Vera was not born Vera Atkins, but Vera Rosenberg. Vera is one of 3 children of Max and Hilda Rosenberg, who are both German Jews. Just before the First World War, Max purchases an estate and wood mill in Bukovina, a region that will become part of Romania. But after Vera's father dies in 1932, and with anti-Semitism in Europe on the rise, Vera and her 2 brothers move to the United Kingdom, where they take their English mother's surname of Atkins. Vera leaves behind in Romania an extended family. As the Nazis take hold of Europe, the family who stay are in mortal danger.
The terror that people live with cannot be underestimated, even if they weren't actually at direct risk of being moved to concentration camps. And this isn't just my family, this isn't just my aunt and my dad and my direct family, this is everybody with Jewish family who were living in the UK and England at the time were terrified about what was going to happen to their relatives. And I think everybody wanted to do whatever they could to help.
According to a family story, Vera's family in the UK raise a large amount of money to help their European relatives.
My dad, my uncle and Vera were very keen to provide any help they could, so they obviously found money and they found resources. But it was very clear that by this point, to get money, to get resources, to get a logistical plan, you probably needed to go. You needed to leave England, you needed to get on a boat, and you needed to go and practically help.
Vera travels to Antwerp, Belgium, in 1940, just as the Nazis are about to invade. During the war, people would often store their wealth in something that could be more easily hidden and transported. Diamonds. For hundreds of years, Antwerp has been the center of the diamond trade in Europe. Vera is believed to have converted the money from the UK into diamonds for the family in Romania. But who are the relatives facing Nazi persecution that Vera wants to save? Fritz Rosenberg is Vera's cousin. Vera's relatives in the 1940s faced disaster. The region has been occupied by Hungary, an ally of Nazi Germany. Under new anti-Jewish laws, Fritz and his wife Karen lose their passports. They may even be deported to concentration camps. But without a passport, they are unable to escape to another country.
This rise in anti-Semitism in the law is reflected in the population. They wouldn't be able to trust their neighbours. They wouldn't be able to trust that at any point they might be snatched away in the middle of the night. They could be put on a train and taken to God knows where. I mean, it must have been absolutely terrifying for them. And there was no escape.
Fritz and Karen need help. And somehow, help does arrive. Karen Rosenberg contacts a German family friend. Someone who has good contacts with the Abwehr, German military intelligence. Karen is able to obtain Aryan passports issued by the Nazi government for her and Fritz. The Rosenbergs pay the Abwehr a large sum, about £150,000 in today's money, to get the prized passports. Money that could be the diamonds that Vera sources in Antwerp. Karen and Fritz are able to leave Romania. They are free, but it's a freedom that comes at a personal cost. Fritz and Karen relocate to the safety of Istanbul, where Vera's brother, Ralph Rosenberg, lives. The reason they go to Istanbul is because of a condition set by the Abwehr. Vera's brother is not only working for an oil company in Istanbul, but also supplying MI6 with local intelligence. The Abwehr want Karen to give them valuable information about Ralph and MI6. Vera had almost certainly gone to Antwerp to raise the money for Fritz and Karen's passports. The very passports that allow the Abwehr to get close to an MI6 agent.
Vera has paid the bribe. She's possibly met German intelligence officers face to face. Karen herself has had contact with a German intelligence officer who's asked her to work for the Germans. It's beginning to look really suspicious. Anyone looking at this situation is going to start throwing suspicion on Vera and on the Rosenbergs. Are they loyal? What's going on here? It's opening a Pandora's box.
Had it been known by the SOE that Vera had handed over money to get Aryan passports from the Abwehr, it would have put Vera under serious suspicion of being a double agent. Instead, Vera keeps her family story a closely guarded secret. And when the British security services publish MRD Foot's history of the SOE, Vera has all mention of her Romanian family roots erased. But despite the security services' best attempts to cover up the story of the lost women spies, it's a story that just won't go away. After creating controversy with her book Double Webs, Jean Overton Fuller starts researching a new book. This time about Henri Dericourt's relationship not with the Nazis, but with MI6. The book is called The Checkered Spy, and it claims Dericourt wasn't just a double agent, but that he was spying on the SOE, on the orders of MI6. Dericourt was MI6's mole at the heart of the SOE, monitoring everything they were doing, as MI6 believed that the SOE were incompetent. The suggestion is that members of the British security services knew that the women Vera trained, like Noor Inayat Khan, like Violette Szabo, like Odette Sansom, were being sent into the hands of a known double agent, and they paid for it with torture, and for some, with their lives. But Henri Dericourt never sees the day that the book is published.
Sub-editor's desk.
Boddington.
Yes?
It's Buckmaster.
Good grief.
Been a while. How are you?
Good. Thanks, Bucks. You?
Seen the news? Dericourt's disappeared in the Far East. The plane he was flying carrying a cargo load of gold. I think the cause of the crash was, fuel starvation.
No, I haven't seen it. What does that mean? Any survivors?
No. And they can't find Dericourt's body. Wasn't Vera close to that man from the SAS? Sort of thing they're good at. Giving people a helping hand into the grave.
I wouldn't know. Vera and I don't speak. I think she works for the UN now.
Well, if you hear anything. All that Dericourt business was very unfortunate for everyone. It's best that he's gone. Dead men don't talk.
Vera Atkins retires to the south coast of Britain, moving to Winchelsea. She has a steady but discreet stream of visitors, including Tanya Szabo, the daughter of agent Violette Szabo.
I received the George Cross for Mother. Odette Sansom was the first ever woman to receive that. The French also gave Mother the Croix de Guerre.
That was good of them.
And Noor received both medals too. There's a memorial now at Dachau. And now you received your CBE, finally. They took their time, didn't they? Are you looking forward to the ceremony?
We'll see, won't we? I'll leave this here. I always drove them down to the aerodromes. It always seemed to be a summer's day. I saw them off. When the war ended and when they didn't come back, I went looking for them all. Missing, presumed dead. It's such a terrible epitaph for anyone.
Can't believe my time has finally come. Been such a whirlwind. And yet the adventure's just about to start.
Remember what they've taught you, Noor.
Yes, Miss Atkins.
There. You're clean.
You're so smart, Miss Atkins. You always wear the nicest things.
Here. It's yours. May it bring you luck.
Thank you, Miss Atkins.
Are you ready?
Yes, Miss Atkins.
Very good.